Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Otsego City Council meeting. Tonight is Monday, July 14th. Can you have the record show, Audra, that we have our city attorney, our city planner, our city engineer, along with all council members, our assistant city administrator, and our city administrator. At this time, I'll ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item of business this evening is our open forum. This is the portion of the meeting where you can come to the podium, state your name and address, and limit comments to 5 minutes or less. Would anyone like to speak at this time?
Good evening, everybody. Jeannie Holland, Ray County Commissioner. Have some updates for you tonight. I had to write them down because there's a slew of them. So anyways, MnDOT has finally gave the okay to go ahead and work on the I-30 or the 37 project over by Costco. That was a very big trial for the highway department. They were getting a lot of flack from Costco. They are going to be working very quickly to make sure that October of next fall 2026, they're going to be ready to go. So we were waiting for that. It was a slow process. Tonight and tomorrow night, the overpass on 94 is going to be closed from 8 until 5. This is part of the 94 project. As you know, they did do one weekend where it was closed. They had reported that they were going to do 4 weekend closures, but Chad reminded them when he looked at the contract that they had only bid to do 1 weekend. And so they burnt through that weekend. Of course, you know, it was on opening fishing and Mother's Day, and it was quite a mess. So we're happy that I think they figure there'll be maybe 2 other nights where they'll have to close like this, but they should be able to do the project on time. So that's going well. We're going into budget season. The big, beautiful bill isn't so big and beautiful for counties, especially in the state of Minnesota, because a lot of the shifts that they sent are going to states, but there's a few states like our state that these shifts are managed by counties, which is like Medicaid. Medicaid will have to be, they'll have to look at Medicare, Medicaid every 6 months instead of renewing or checking up on them yearly. There's a lot of things on here that we're still getting bits and pieces from, but we are looking for it to be a pretty big hit, not as big as the state's shift, which we're very happy that state shift didn't come our way. That would have been very detrimental. And then to add the 2 together, that would have been ugly. So we're going to wait and see. We of course want a 0% levy. We're hoping we can keep it to 4. I don't know. It's going to be ugly. So anyways, and then the DMV is just wildly packed since April. We have 2-3 hour waits at the DMV. They're seeing it across the state. People are still trying to get their real ID. They've had 10 years and they decided they want to do it all. And passports too are up. Like they said, we've already done as many passports as we did for the whole year last year. That's an anomaly. I think people are doing both, or I don't know. But the DMV staff is exhausted, as you can imagine, because people aren't happy when they find out they have to wait 2 hours. And then they're not getting their license for 14 weeks. So you can still go to TSA with the paper slips, they say. So hopefully that they keep doing that. It's quite a mess. And then we had a a walk through. The county did a scenario of if something would ever happen to the NSP power plant and how our county would react to that. Very interesting to watch that process. And then we will have another one coming up here soon too. Kind of the same. That was kind of a dry run, and then we'll go through the run again. But very interesting. Every department was represented. We got to see how they interacted and how they had to go through their checklist. We can thank Seth Hansen for all his work ahead of time. Yeah, very interesting to see. So other than that, anybody have any questions? Hopefully I can answer.
Yeah, Adam.
Mayor, Council, Commissioner Holland, when do you expect the board to approve going out to bids on the 137 project?
That's coming up in a couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So
I have a
Yes.
question.
uh,
You talked about your scenario of doing your tabletop with a power plant.
Mhm.
Would there ever be an invitation for Monticello and Otsego to be part of that, since it would very much impact those two communities right away? Or
I think they
could we get an update on that?
Yes, I think they are. I think they have some, because they would call the school representatives and say, this is a drill. The schools would have to do, we have Kaleidoscope School within that 10-mile
Mhm.
radius, no other schools. Your prairie schools are just beyond that 10-mile limit. So as we were watching them, somebody from public health would say, he's in charge of just calling the schools. And then there's somebody that just calls the cities and says, this is, what's going on.
Okay.
So yes, they should have, you should have, but I would love to have Seth Hansen come and talk sometime about, preparedness, on all kinds of levels. He's the person that the sheriff has in line, and then has, meetings with the fire departments, meetings with the sheriff's department on when any kind of catastrophe that would ever happen. Cause there's quite a few things, as we see in Texas and other places, you just never know what's going to affect a community. So, and he's very good. He's also the fire chief in Big Lake. So he knows, kind of the parameters of what needs to be done. And he's been doing it for the last, I think, 8 years?
Before that, he was at Sherburne County.
Yes,
Mm.
I think so. Yes. So
As you said, Kaleidoscope is in the 10 miles, but Prairie View is not, and wind blows. So it's
I know.
right across 19. So it
I know.
seems as though.
It is very arbitrary. It is
Right.
And when I was on the school board, the high school was on it, but the other schools were not, but they're just equally as close,
Correct.
because, and you're right, where the wind blows, but they take some of that in consideration, and, they have a plan of where everybody has to go, where, and they figure all that out. So it was very, very, very eye-opening, very interesting. Yeah. And it's Otsego, Monticello, and a little bit of Buffalo, and then Big Lake, that are all in this little 10-mile pocket.
Right.
So
Well,
Yeah.
we'd love an invite or at
Yes.
least the minutes of that meeting. If we could.
Yes.
get those.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bet. Take care.
Okay, we're still under open forum. Any other comments? All right, we will close the open forum and move on to consider our agenda for approval. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add or delete at this time?
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I'd like to bring down 3.9. We can make that 5.1.
All right, any other changes? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Motion by Ryan, seconded by Michelle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 3, our consent agenda. The motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, seconded by Corey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor. I just wanted to remark of the passing of one of our public safety commissioners, John Braun. He was a great guy and I think was with the city quite a while. I know when I started. So deepest condolences.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 4.1 is the 80th Street Safe Routes to School Trail Project.
Thank you,
Fine.
Mayor. As you recall, this project runs from Hunter Hills, the East Platte line over to McIver Avenue. And it's on the north side, extending that trail and connecting it with the rest of the trail systems in the city. The Safe Routes to School project, we got that grant and that was $460,000. And that was because this road is fairly well traveled and fairly narrow in sections. So people using it are in conflict with the vehicles. We did open bids on July 2nd. We received 2 bids, which was fairly low. And the project estimate versus as bid, low bid is quite a bit higher. You can see the numbers as they break down. Engineer's estimate 214,000, as bid at 277,000. So the net cost to the city after you go through all the engineering, easement, and right of way is 113,000 was the engineer's estimate, 189,000 as bid. We're still recommending approval. I think a lot of this has to do with the amount of rain that we've had this summer, which slows down the earthwork contractors. There's a lot of earth that has to be moved on this project. So I think there weren't as many interested bidders at that time of year. And again, we're trying to get this project done this year so it can be used later this fall. And then, starting next spring again for kids walking to school primarily, but also just for any other resident that would like to be safe and use our trails.
All right. Questions for staff on this one? Or a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor. Madam, or Dan, would you have a map you could show on here of where this is?
It'll take me a few minutes, but I'll get you there.
I just have a comment. After people hearing about this, they're very excited that this is coming to fruition. So very excited.
Mayor, Council, the trail would extend from McIver Avenue westbound to Langley Avenue on the north side of 80th Street.
Actually just past that, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be just to the East Platte line. So where that pond is right there. Yep.
So it's already trails.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yeah.
there's already trails
Right.
extending from that East Platte line back to Lander Avenue, where there's sidewalk then connecting down to Beaudry Meadows Park.
Yeah, there ain't much room on that road right now to walk, and I mean, there's not much of a shoulder, right?
No, that area, we had to put in with the development, and the developer paid for that street widening plus the trail. Here to make this connection that a lot of people have been looking for and calling the city, we have to get easement from property owners along there in order to have the space to put in the trail.
Thanks for pulling that up, Adam.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion. Okay. Motion to adopt resolution 2025-32, accepting bids and awarding contract.
31.
Oh, 31. Oh, mine says 32. Excuse me.
Oh, you're on the next one.
Oh, am I? Oh, oh gosh, I am sorry. Thank you. My bad. Let me start over. Motion to adopt resolution 2025-31, accepting bids and awarding contract to New Look Contracting, Inc. for the 80th Street Safe Routes to School Trail project in the amount of $277,655.
Second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Ryan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item 4.2, which is the Parish Avenue Trail Project.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the trail that runs on County State Aid Highway 42 from 96th Street, where sidewalk ends, and runs down to 91st Street, which is near the roundabout of County State Highway 39 and County State Aid Highway 42. This connects some path and sidewalk and also gets people, again, off a busy road at higher speeds where people are passing within the shoulder of the road due to people taking a left-hand turn into the development. That's caused a lot of concern with residents, and we did get an active transportation grant to help with the costs for this. We went out for bids again on July 2nd, opened them, and there were 3 bids. The lowest one being $269,939. Same contractor, New Look. Our construction cost estimate on this one was $249,148, so about $20,000 higher than we anticipated. But again, it's a good project to get residents off the busy, that's even busier street with even a bit higher traffic. So we support the council accepting the bids and awarding the contract.
Ron, any comments from council on this one or questions?
Madam Mayor. Ron, I think we talked about this, but was this the project where we were talking about possibly getting a flashing crosswalk, but we couldn't or something?
Yeah, we've been working with the county. The speeds are too fast in order to place a crosswalk with, so at 96th Street, it's the ramps, the ADA ramps will be set in place, but we won't have any prior warning besides signage, just regular signage.
At the county, do we have to twist their arms to get a flashing sign there? Okay.
This was what we said we were going to bring up to you. If you could help us support, there was some talk about that Ron had asked for our discussions on this one about crossing.
Yeah, Mayor, the policy for the city is a 45 mile an hour or 40 miles an hour or less. You can have a crosswalk, active signage, but in excess of 40, it has to just be crossing at your own safety.
That's our policy? Or
That's the county's policy.
county, okay. I like the idea and everything getting them up. I just worry about being the roundabout and coming out of that. You know, we've had good success with the lighted sort of flashing crosswalks at other spots. If we could somehow get that incorporated.
Madam Mayor,
That's right.
and if I remember correctly, it's 1 block to the south, it becomes 40. So where we have to put the crossing is gonna be in a 45 zone, but just 1 block south, it becomes a 40 mile per hour
Yeah,
zone.
I think
So,
you're right.
The crossing would be at 96th Street.
Right.
and 96 circle is where it's 40, right?
I think that whole stretch is 45.
It drops down to
No.
40.
Oh, it does
It
drop down to
does.
40? Okay.
Yeah.
My mistake.
That's okay that you didn't know that answer because it's a county road, but there is a speed limit change in that area. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Corey.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-32, accepting bids and awarding contract to New Look Contracting Incorporation for Parish Avenue, County State. What's the A? AH 42 active transportation trail in the amount of $269,939.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Corey, seconded by Ryan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, moving on to city council reports and updates. Item 5.1, Ryan, you have the request that to be moved.
Yes, I pulled this down just so there could be a separate vote. It's unacceptable that we have an entire team with no budget. And we aren't even able to know how many employees will make up this team. Although 8 new employees are being hired here, applications are still being accepted. There's no limit. Unlimited funding and unlimited hiring violates our very oath to safeguard taxpayer funds. We also said we're not going to try to take firefighters from other departments. That didn't last long because there are firefighters on this list that are paid on call in other cities, potentially reducing their fighting force and thereby shooting ourselves in the foot. This proposal should not be approved. The fact that it will go forward without any scrutiny shows that this council is willing to break its promise to residents. I will not be supporting this action.
Council, we have item 3.9 originally in front of us, now 5.1. Any comments or a motion would be in order.
Madam Mayor,
Corey,
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Gregory Hubbard, Joseph Tiedemann, Christopher Brooks, Miles LaFave, Eric Barone, I'm gonna mess this one up,